Like,
welcome in to Why Not WSN. That's right. We're going to do an audio podcast. We'll get into all of that stuff, everything. We're talking. This is an all football show today. Joe and I are very excited to bring it to you. And the no duh statement of the preseason came out. Trevor Lawrence is starting for the Jaguars. Come on, Urban. We already knew that. Thank you so much for joining us this morning here in the Warzone Sports Network. Like I said, this is Why Not WSN podcast audio version. If you're joining us on the podcast, go over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We're on Twitter, TikTok, everywhere at the Warzone Sports Network. We got a lot of great shows. Tonight, we got Joe Morley and the Raiders Allegiance. We got Nuts and Bolts, Chargers fans. There's just shows all across the board, always talking sports, getting geared up for fantasy football. But today's show is mainly, it's all NFL talk, and I can't wait to get into it. We talked about Trevor Lawrence being named the starter, the no duh statement. I could not imagine Gardner Minshew taking snaps week one. I would lose my freaking mind. But the guy we want to hear from, we are going to be talking a little bit of Kyle Shanahan. We're going to be talking trades, just all across the board, getting into it. Joe, let's throw up the first topic and get into it on today's show. And that is Bill Belichick trading with the Rams. Here's, Joe, if Bill Belichick called me and wanted to trade, I would probably hang up the phone. I just feel like whatever he's doing, he's going to fleece you. Like, he just is like, he feels smarter than you. He feels like he trades guys away every time. Like, if he was like, hey, Sean, you're looking trim out there. The haircut looks nice. Also, how about I trade you this guy that we've been talking about having to manage his knee problem after you just spent all those years managing Todd Gurley's knee problem? Like, what do you think about trading?
Yeah, my first question is, what's wrong with him, right? Hey, I'm going to trade you this guy. What's wrong with him? What are you doing over there, Bill? But I don't know. I think Sony Michel fell out of love of Bill Belichick's grace a couple seasons ago. Sorry, I got to put this up. And he fell out of love. And Patriots running backs have always been able to, they're kind of like the new system, right? The new Shanahan back in the system where you just throw a running back in, and that's what the Patriots do. But yeah, if I was Sean McVay this morning, I'm questioning it. I'm still probably making the deal. I'm not going to make the deal because I think Sony Michel in that backfield, Sony Michel with Sean McVay is going to be a great tandem. I like the future of Sony Michel in Los Angeles.
Yeah, to me, it's not a talent thing. It's not that Sony Michel doesn't have talent. It's the fact that he's been managing injuries since he got into the league. He's already shown that he's a very capable running back. That's not the issue. The issue is why, if Bill Belichick tried to sell me a car, I would just assume it didn't have floorboards or something. Yeah. I would think I would lift up the hood and be like, is there an engine in this thing? Because he's not getting rid of somebody that could help his football team. Like 5th and 6th round picks, I mean, he'll take them and move them along somewhere else. But
yeah, he'll trade them somewhere.
I really do hope that it does work out for Sony Michel, and think that it can. It's great. I mean, right here, we got Jensen jumping in and saying it's a great move. Jensen, I'd be curious to know which side you think it's a great move. Is it a great move for both sides? Because I definitely think it is a great move if he can stay healthy for the Rams. I think it is an outstanding move for them. And this also opens up stuff in the Patriots for Stevenson, the guy that, brought up here by Renee, is somebody that we've all been in love with and, getting on the hype machine with him. I just picked him up in fantasy this morning because he's going to be the number 2 guy there.
You've already picked up Stevenson?
Oh yeah, I woke up
Wow.
this morning, saw the trade. My kids are like, "Hey, Dad, we need breakfast." I was like, "I'm looking at my fantasy team," and then picked up Ramondre Stevens because let's say Damian Harris, who's also had trouble staying healthy.
Yeah.
Stevenson comes in, and they're going to run the football. Like I can't imagine they're like, "Yeah, let's air it out with what's left of Cam Newton," or they're playing sort of a managing the style game with
And
Mac Jones.
I think that's what helped out a lot too, is the way Stevenson's been playing in the preseason. It makes it easier for Bill to be like, all right, we'll do this. We'll make this trade. Because he's been the standout. And then they said at practice today after the trade. So they traded him, and the main thing is now Harris took all the reps with the first stringers, and then Stevenson came in and took all the reps with the second stringers. So there's no more splitting time. They know Harris is a starter. They know Stevenson's the second string, or the second backup, or the second guy in the game. So yeah, with Harris, it was just a logjam there, but it still makes you question Bill Belichick trading people. But hey, Sean McVay is a smart guy too, right? You have to. You would think that he would do his enough homework too, to not get fleeced by Bill Belichick, even though I think he got fleeced in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, Bill Belichick is letting everybody know.
I'm thinking I'm back.
That's right. He is going full John Wick. He spent money in the offseason. He's making preseason trades. Like, I actually think the Patriots are going to be a good football team this year. Like, in our projections, I think I had him winning the AFC East. And this is just another move where he's like, I can get something out of this guy, and I have faith in these other people. Looks like he's going to use James White in that same role. So it's interesting. And if Sony Michel's healthy, it's great for them. On the fantasy front, what was most interesting was like, I almost, in a draft last night, which we're going to get to at the end of the show, almost took Darrell Henderson in like the 4th round. And now I feel so much better that I passed because I would be so frustrated if I woke up this morning and I had drafted Darrell Henderson in the 4th round, and now he's sharing a backfield with Sony Michel. And it seems like some of the reports I read, obviously they could just be fluff pieces, but people like Xavier Jones. So it could be just all three, could be the same headache we had last year with who's starting, who's getting the most carries.
I read the Xavier Jones thing, I think, is a fluff piece, like you said. From what I read about them, Xavier Jones, and I can't think of the other running back from the Rams off the top of my head. Funk. They've been horrible. And I read something earlier that in all the series that they've been in, I think they've been able to pick up 1 first down in all the preseason series that they've been in. So, Sean McVay ain't going to take that. So, to go out there, I think Henderson and now Michel are going to be your lead backs in Los Angeles. And hopefully he has enough. And now with that extra week between the season, he'll be able to learn and catch up on the playbook. So, yeah, if you're a big Funk or
Zay Jones.
Funk. I wouldn't want that. Like, would you want to buy a jersey that said Funk on the back? Like, let's go Funk.
I actually love the nickname Funk. We were talking about it because my buddy Jay Funk, right? You've met him. He's been came on the show. He calls himself Jay Funk. But at 46 years old and getting arthritis in your thumbs from spending too much time on Bumble, you can't use the name Jay Funk anymore. It's just shouldn't be legal. But 1 first down that they got, Sean McVay.
You're failures!
That is why you trade for Sony Michel. 1 first down, he's standing on the sideline. He's like, okay, Bill Belichick offered me Sony Michel, and these guys are getting 1 first down.
You're failures!
Boom. We're in. And
he makes I kind of knew it was coming, but it's still funny, Tom.
I love Richard Jenkins. I love that. I love that one there. All right. We spent a good chunk of time on this one. Let's move over to Jaguars news. Jaguars are very exciting. And if any of you guys know that I was just extremely bummed because I was so excited for Travis Etienne Jr. this year. Just he's so dynamic. And I figured for fantasy purposes, it'd be great. 4th quarter, they're down. He's looking for easy checkdowns that Etienne would really get to eat, but just more so like watching young kids with talent get in and explode onto the NFL scene. And I thought that he had a real shot at doing that this year. And so I don't know. Like it's just one of those things where Mac over Cam. Although this COVID thing with Cam, that could be a real thing we look at where Cam might not be able to get the job back if he
Cam ain't getting that job back. Cam's not getting that job back. I'm telling you right now. He's done. He's messed up. Mac Jones is throwing dimes. He's seizing that opportunity. Mac Jones will be the starter for the New England Patriots.
Okay.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Lock it in right now.
Lock it up. Lock it up, Mac Jones. I think it would be interesting. I'm rooting for Cam because I like Cam. Like, I'm a fan of his and have always enjoyed him out there. I don't know how much he has left, and I could see a scenario in which Cam is only kind of a goal line type back. He's only giving him those carries there, using him in those aggressive run packages, short yardage.
You think Belichick will use Cam as a Taysom Hill kind of guy?
Yes, former MVP, played in the Super Bowl, and he's now relegated to playing inside the 20-yard line or short yardage. So, but it's there. Let's get back to the Jaguars because the Travis Etienne news was sad. And also in another league, Joe, because I have had two of my 7 or 8 fantasy drafts already. I picked up Carlos Hyde because I think there's a little bit of the Ohio State love that could happen there. You know, maybe he finds a way to incorporate him a little bit more. But really, let's talk about this. Urban Meyer came out and said they made the announcement that Trevor Lawrence is the starter. Like, there's no way that you get one of the top prospects. It's like John Elway, Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence.
It's not that easy. It's not that easy, Tony. You think it's an easy decision to put Trevor Lawrence as your starting quarterback after you draft him first? He's been a generation talent for the last 6 years since he was like in 6th grade. Everybody's been talking about Trevor Lawrence. You think it's that easy to be like, you're the starter quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars that went 1-15 last year? It's pretty tough to give you the job, Mr. Lawrence, especially with Minshew Mania running wild on you.
Gardner Minshew played well last year. What's up? Look, he's got. I didn't see this last time we were on here. Full cheesehead logo, Gold Glover. Welcome back. We don't have any Packer topics here, but whatever you're thinking about in the Green Bay world, throw it in the chat. Let's talk about it. Gardner Minshew can't start. Gardner Minshew could only play if there's a serious injury to Trevor Lawrence. There's no way that I see that he cleaned it up. He shaved the mullet and cleaned up the mustache or whatever. But you can't put him out there when you have Trevor Lawrence as the number 1 pick, and you just can't do it. You're not going to win games.
You can throw this ball over that mountain over there. Huh? Bet you can.
I bet you. If they started Uncle Rico, I would be happier with that over starting Gardner Minshew over Trevor Lawrence. Like, I'm excited for all of these rookies to play, and we're going to be getting into more of that in a second. But when I read this, I was like, this isn't a story. This is not like, maybe you do it just for the, like, sort of the official announcement. But if at any point Urban Meyer was actually thought this was a competition, it makes me lose all the faith that I have that the Jaguars could be a potential playoff team in year 2. Like, they get another draft, another offseason, and they really build. Because I like Urban Meyer. I think there is something to winning wherever you go. I think that can translate to winning in the NFL. I don't know if
Don't make me say it, Tony.
Say it.
Don't make me say my hot take right here with you, Tony Tucker.
I know you've been dying. If you want to tell people what we talk about. Bradley,
like, I don't know. I've been going back and forth on this, Tony, and I haven't really made a video about it, and I haven't really said anything. But I'm getting closer and closer each day. Reading the like you said, this was a no dud thing. Like, they could have came out after the draft and said Trevor Lawrence is our starting quarterback week 1, and nobody would bat one eye, right? Everybody be like, yeah, we know that's coming. You're drafting a guy, number 1. You're a 1-15 team. You should be there. So to even have that discussion of maybe Minshew or Trevor Lawrence is beyond everything that I ever thought. And then I don't know if you've been watching any of these preseason games.
Yes.
Horrible play calling. They have no blocking for this guy. He's gonna get he found out real quick. He's not at Clemson no more. He's not there. He's running around, running for his life, and he was probably hoping like maybe they would have Gardner Minshew start the games because, damn. And I'm gonna, you know what? I'll say it, Tony.
Go ahead.
David Coley, the coach of the Houston Texans, will be a better coach. I'm not saying he's going to win more games. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he will be a better coach than Urban Meyer at the NFL level. His team will be more prepared and have better, be more in games. Like they won't be getting their butts kicked. They're going to be in the games. David Culley would have his team more prepared for the NFL season and NFL games than Urban Meyer will. I'll say that right.
The more you know, ladies and gentlemen.
Urban Meyer is going to go down as one of the worst coaching hires ever. And I'm glad because I don't like the Jacksonville Jaguars either. Anyways.
I cannot imagine that being the case. Yes, it's bad, but I think here's the thing that Trevor Lawrence is learning is that he's not going to have all day to sit back there and throw. He's not going to have time. This is an expression we're going to see a lot this year. We're going to see a lot of this look of bewilderment. Like, what did I get myself into? But I do think that he's also a prideful man. He's not going to want this to fail or look like a loser. I don't know how long I've heard maybe the way he likes to talk to players will not work. And that does worry me a little bit. But Trevor Lawrence is going to have to realize that checkdowns are his friend. He even said after that last game, I got to move the chains. I got to be picking up first downs and I got to keep moving. And that's the kind of mentality he's going to have. He's not going to be able to sit back there and be like, oh, is T. Higgins going to be open, streaking down this? No, it's going to be like, I need to get this to my outlet because my offensive line is less than desirable. He'll learn quick. Yeah,
you know what's funny is Houston plays Jacksonville week 1, right? So it's going to be one heck of a toilet bowl game, and it's gonna be just a straight mess over there.
I'm taking my Jaguars.
You're going to take the Jaguars?
I'm taking the Jaguars.
I might take Houston that week. I haven't decided, but I don't know. Everything I've seen from Jacksonville, like we all expected them to be right? To get better than what they were last year. Like Urban Meyer coming in, they brought some good players in, or we thought they did, and it just seems like it's been a laughable. Everybody laughed at the Jags when they took Etienne because they already had James Robinson. Now it's looking smart that they actually kept James Robinson, didn't do anything with them but I don't know. I think the more and more they make mistakes. Like you had a rookie, you have a young quarterback. You knew you were going to take this young quarterback. You knew it probably last year. You knew you were going to take it. So you thought the offensive line would be something that you would shore up coming in. That's what most teams do, right? That's what most teams with young quarterbacks do is they get some offensive linemen. I just don't know what Jacksonville's doing. And Urban Meyer, he's not long for the NFL.
He's definitely he doesn't stay anywhere too long, but when he does get there, there's usually a quick turnaround and they win games. And I'm going to continue to have faith in that. When you get Trevor Lawrence, there is some nice pieces. The ATN pick looks even worse now because they could have gotten an offensive lineman and they clearly need it. And they had James Robinson. And why would you trade James Robinson or get rid of him? Because he's on like a free agent, like undrafted contract. Like there's no reason that you would get rid of that player after the rookie season that he had. And speaking of James Robinson, let's just talk about the fantasy impact. I was thinking in that draft that I'd be able to get him in the 5th round. It didn't happen that way. He was like the first pick of the 4th round. So if you're looking at James Robinson and you want him on your team and you think he can be the same kind of 3-down back he was last year, you're going to need to be looking closer to the 3rd round because I feel like that heat's only going to grow over the next couple of weeks to where he's being drafted, early part of the 3rd round at the latest. Probably higher than
he's already going.
People. Yeah,
he's already going higher. And I did a mock draft yesterday when the news broke, and he was already going. I think he went 4th round in that one as well. And I was like, dang, all right, people are already falling in love.
I did a mock draft on Fantasy Pros. Well, I've done several of them, but he did he was going in the end of the second round in those drafts, an early part of the third round. So the heat on Robinson's coming.
People
hot.
are already coming out and saying Robinson's a top 10 fantasy running back this year with that news. And it's like, whoo, where was this energy earlier? I know that we thought that Etienne was going to take a spot, but come on. But
it feels like that was just more that it was just more messy then. That's all people were worried about, especially when they brought in Carlos Hyde and they're like, well, here we got co-starters. It's like co-starters, like this guy was technically a rookie of the year candidate. I mean, he wasn't in the same stratosphere as Jefferson and Herbert, but he was, he was amazing last year. So the whole thing is confusing. I agreed with Bolster when he had the freak out, when he had the meltdown during our watch party for the first round of the NFL draft. And he went nuts on the Jaguars for the Etienne pick. But I'm still excited about Etienne. Wherever he was playing, wherever he got drafted, I would have been excited about. But it definitely looked like it should have been an offensive lineman at this point. And now it's even more glaring.
Do you think Jacksonville is going to be a winning team this year?
No, my projection was that they would be fun and that they would be more competitive towards the end of the year, but they were a 4 or 5 win team. I think I had them at 4-13 on our AFC South predictions.
I want to say I had them around the same spot. I can't remember exact. I might have gave them. I think I did give them 4 wins. I was trying to, and even at that point, Tony, even at that point, before all this news, I wanted to drop them below the Texans, and in my head, I was like, "No, you're not. That's not a smart move. Don't do it." But now I'm looking at both these teams, and Jaguars and Texans. They're going to get beat up by the Colts, and they're going to get beat up by the Tennessee Titans in their division. Both of these teams are pretty bad, and both of these teams will end up with a top 10 first-round pick next year. So maybe they get that offensive lineman for Trevor Lawrence if he can make it through this season.
Well, I definitely think that next year's plan is going to have to be the offensive line. It's what I thought the Bengals would do this year. But I'll just say this. We're in the preseason. The offense is still basic, and Lawrence isn't really using his mobility at all. Once the games are on the line, his competitive nature will take over. Some question how much he actually loves it by comments he made this offseason where says football isn't the end-all be-all. But I have a hard time believing a kid who's done nothing but winning since he was like 10 years old is going to settle for not giving every single ounce he has. And we haven't been able to see that. I think you get back Chark, it opens up things, helps him out a little bit more.
So you're saying we haven't seen this story before, Tony? With Todd Marinovich, was that his name? His dad grew him and raised him as an NFL quarterback from day one, from birth, lived and breathed football all the way to college, and then got to the NFL level and was like, I made it here. This is my goal. You don't think we could see that out of Trevor Lawrence?
We definitely could. I mean, we could see, I think it's a different story though, because I don't think he's been like raised the same way where like Todd Marinovich's dad was like intense. It seems like Trevor Lawrence comes from good people and is like, he just kind of is like, hey, to me, he's more like Andrew Luck. He has options in life. He could leave the NFL and he could be fine with it. And that rubs people the wrong way. I do think that there is sort of a mindset there that is missing, that in football, you kind of have to have that extra screw loose where it's like, it's nothing but this, especially for quarterbacks. You know, you hear about how Tom Brady gets to the facility at like 4 a.m. in the morning. Like he's turning on lights. He's essentially the janitor, at some point, like getting there so early that, I don't know, but it's
you want that player. You want that player that's going to give you everything and anything, and that's the old school NFL. Hey, cut my finger off because I'm going right back in the damn game. That's the kind of guys you want. You don't want the guy who goes, don't cut my finger off because I have this hand commercial and I'm going to be doing the cream next week. So just leave it on and try to make it look as good as you can. I'll just sit out the rest of this game.
Isotoners. Yes, this is what I want. This is what I want from Trevor Lawrence.
Obsess much.
That's what I want. Obsession. I'm just kidding. I love Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to be great. They're going to be fun, but the Jaguars are going to do a lot of losing. A team that I think is going to do less losing is the Denver Broncos. They named Teddy Bridgewater the starter, and this is what I thought would happen either eventually or should happen. I believe that Bridgewater is an excellent game manager. As a Chargers fan, this does kind of worry me a little bit because the team is more structured, right? They can play behind that defense. They're going to run the football a lot, but Teddy Bridgewater to me seems like the safe choice. Obviously, Drew Lock has all the talent, and maybe you could go to the next level with him, but you could also sort of crash and burn real bad. So when I saw this, I was happy for Teddy Bridgewater. Every time something nice seems to happen to him, it's taken away. Hopefully this opportunity is good to him and he finishes just behind the Chargers in the AFC North. What did you think about this Bridgewater being named the starter is?
I think you and I have talked about this before, and we've always known that Bridgewater probably is the better bet for them for what they want to do with their defense, because they have an amazing defense in Denver, and you don't want that guy that takes risk. I like Drew Lock, and I think he can turn around. I think he will have some growing pains, and I don't think Denver wants to go through that. I don't think Vic Fangio feels that he has enough time to go through that again. So they brought in Teddy B, and they want to win, and they're in a tough division too. Like 1 or 2 games in that division put you right out quick with the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers. This is one of the toughest divisions in the NFL if you think about it. So they need every single game that they can get, and they don't think that Drew Lock will be able to get him to. And I asked Drew Lock what he was thinking. He was like, "I'm good, bro. I'm good. Party it up." He's dancing on the sideline. He's cool with it. He has no hard feelings, he said.
Oh, Drew Lock really is. He does have a lot of talent, but in those close games, and you have a defensive head coach, he's just like, please take care of the ball. Vic Fangio, like you said, doesn't have a long time. There's not a long leash, I believe, there, and he's going to need to win games. And the defense is absolutely loaded. So if they can play with a defense that could be opportunistic, run the ball. I think Javonte Williams, somebody asked me for my rookie of the year prediction the other day. I honestly think that it could be him. I think he could rack up over 1,000 yards and get a bunch of touchdowns and be involved in the passing game. And
are you in my head right now, Tony?
No.
Are you in? Because Javonte Williams is my pick for rookie of the year as well as of right now. Is because you and I see the same thing, especially now with Teddy B as the quarterback.
Yeah, I definitely think there's an opportunity for him to have a tremendous year, especially once he fully starts to get the game, the speed, the picking up the blitzes, and he's not getting pulled off the field for doing things. Like as long as he is making decisive cuts and staying in there, like I think there's going to be a real opportunity for him to thrive with Bridgewater at quarterback. Drew Lock, I feel a little bit less so that way, but either way, like I said, Lock had two things would happen. Either he sets the world on fire and the Broncos are unstoppable, or he's terrible and Bridgewater comes in at some point. Like there's no like middle ground for me where it's just like he kind of goes up and down. Like he's all gas.
And I think this is the better way to explain it to your fans as well, is Bridgewater gives us the better chance of winning right now, in their opinion, right? Also, if they were to start Drew Lock, I think he would have been on a shorter leash than what they're going to put Bridgewater on. Bridgewater will be able to go out there, play his game, and if they lose, they lose. But I think Drew Lock going out there week 1, everything that he did, say he goes out there and he throws a pick, it's going to be blown up more than a Bridgewater interception. And fans will call for Drew Lock's jobs more than they would call for Teddy Bridgewater. So, like, say the Broncos do end up going the same route and with Bridgewater, say the Broncos still end up 0-6 to start the season. Then it's a better transition to Drew Lock so they can be like, hey, we gave Bridgewater a shot. We thought he was the veteran that was going to come in and do it. He didn't do it. Now we're going to see what Drew Lock has the rest of the season and then see if we need to go in a different route next year. But I think that's the better way to see it. because you did bring Teddy Bridgewater and you did pay him. He is the veteran. Man, I would have loved to see Teddy B in the Vikings uniform, never getting hurt, and what he would have been there. But now he is just that journeyman quarterback that we hoped can just bridge gaps, right? Now instead of Bridgewater, he's bridging gaps at quarterback.
Teddy Bridge gaps. I love the two gloves there. The fantasy implications for me is that everybody feels a little bit better. Even Cortland Sutton. Like, you won't get as many like crazy splash plays and Hamler, like some of the stuff we've already seen from Locke in the preseason, but it'll be consistent. I like Fant
Judy season
and Judy a lot.
I don't know why I don't like that saying. I hate when people are like Judy season or Tony Tucker's season. I hate that, but now it's just something that I put in there. Like, nobody ever wanted to say dude in their life, but now everybody calls people dudes. Like, because you were making fun of the person that was calling somebody dude, now it's just stuck in your head, or bro, stuff like that. So now season is stuck in my head, and I always say it now.
I have been seeing it a little bit more in text and like Twitter comments and stuff like that. They just put blank season. And I'm fine. This hasn't gotten to the point where it bothers me. Bet is the one that gets me a little frustrated, except for when Fantasy Flojo says it, because he ends his videos that way, and I love it. I am always like hype. Whenever he puts out a video, I'm always like, I'm drafting that guy, Bet. But I will not say that in my real life.
Teddy Bridgewater is the better quarterback in Denver, Bet.
Is
that how are we saying it right? Bet.
Honestly, my kid said it to me one day, and I was like, "Excuse me, I don't like it. Don't say it to me." But yeah, it's good. Let's go. Let's move on to the quarterback controversy that we want, not controversy, but competition. We want to know, and that is Kyle Shanahan. Name a starter, because I've heard a lot of like, Kyle, Jimmy G's our guy. Is he
exactly?
Is he your guy?
You've heard that like all the way till now. You've heard Jimmy G's the best ever since the draft. Everything. Jimmy G's our guy. We're gonna give him a shot. We're gonna Jimmy G this, Jimmy G that, and now we're like in week 3 of the preseason. Like, oh, I'm not gonna name my week 1 starter. What?
Yeah. And that's the part where I'm struggling, because whenever I talk to people about this, they go, Tony, come on. He's like 38-2 with Jimmy G when he's healthy as a starter. And I'm like, yeah, he is. But there's also a ceiling there. And that's why he drafted Trey Lance. He had a rookie of the year playoff run with RG3 in Washington. So it's like, he knows what this can look like and what it could be. And that it's limitless when he can get the talent of Trey Lance on the field. And I think there is obviously hesitation. He didn't play a lot last year. He is very green. And there's safety in putting Jimmy G out there. Selfishly, since I'm not a 49ers fan, I say just run with Trey Lance. But I get the argument that you start the veteran, you see how it goes, you get healthy games out of him, you can win. But the excitement, the opportunity to see Trey Lance in Kyle Shanahan's offense every week, I'm here for it. I'm not
Jimmy
that
G's
excited
already given up. He's already given up, Tony. If you watched anything of Jimmy G or read anything, I know I paid attention more to the Chargers joint practice with the 49ers than I've ever had anything Chargers and 49ers related in my life. But Jimmy G, basically, in my opinion, has already given up. He feels that, hey, they brought in Trey Lance. My job's on the line. He's overthinking everything. He's making throws that we've never seen Jimmy G make or thought he would make, because we always thought that Jimmy G was, at one point, wasn't Jimmy G the next up-and-coming Tom Brady? Like, that's what people are saying, the golden child. But he's throwing interceptions left and right. He threw an interception at Charger practice to Derwin James that would have gone to the pick 6. I think it's all mental now. I think Jimmy G's lost it in his head.
Well, there's this part of it for me where it's like, if you're Kyle Shanahan and they're telling you, like, don't worry, your job's not on the line, whatever, like, you drafted this kid, we traded all this thing, I'm kind of thinking, like, why wouldn't you put him out there? Like, yes, That's the other thing too, is they're like, he's the safer, he makes smarter plays, whatever it is, he does it. I actually like Alex Smith a lot better. I think at least Alex Smith was like mobile and smart. But on the play where Jimmy got injured, that didn't look that smart to me. Like I wasn't like,
No.
but there, yeah, the porn star thing will always just sort of be like, really? This is what you do when you become the face of a franchise? Like, this is how you conduct yourself? Like, I'm good for it. You can date and do whatever you want. I just don't know that if a team was entrusting me and like saying, hey, this is what it's going to be, that wouldn't be my first move. Hypothetically, if I was in that position, maybe it would. Who knows? Maybe I'd get all that money and I'd
You
be
don't
like,
live life, Tony. You
Yeah.
don't live life to the fullest.
I'm just
Jimmy
making.
G does.
Put Ron Jeremy's number in my contact list and be like, who do we got? Who's up? What's going on? Trying to get in the porn star game. Let's get out. Let's get done with this topic. Because I would like.
But
to
we're both in agreement. Lance is the quarterback, right?
I think he's the starter in week one. When I watched that game, he didn't look confident against the Chargers backups. He wasn't having to worry about Joey Bosa, Derwin James. Like, they didn't have all of their linebackers, and they were disguising anything. Brandon Staley, like, he was just basic vanilla defense, and he got picked. So it's like Trey Lance should be the starter on day one. And here's the other thing: I have a bunch of drafts coming up, and I would totally take Trey Lance on my team if I knew he was there. And now it's like, I kind of like, should I wait for him? Like, how long? Because there's a world in which Jimmy G comes out and they're just winning games and they just keep rolling with it. And now I've wasted this pick where I could have gotten somebody else. So if he would just tell me, like, I'm being selfish, but just talk to me, Kyle. Come on, man.
Kyle Shanahan loves playing games. And speaking about fantasy football, you never know what running back to take in that San Francisco offense either. I'm kind of on the, I mentioned it yesterday to somebody that I think everybody's been sleeping a little bit on Mostert and not sleeping, but like giving him, we're doubting him a little bit more because we're all intrigued of what Trey Sermon can do. And are we pushing a Mostert down in most mock drafts? Is that a bad thing?
Okay, so I do believe there's something to that. Mostert's battled some injuries, and I know that I don't trust him to just say, oh, whenever Mostert's healthy, he's our guy. I think who's ever hot in that offense is the guy, because I really believe that he's so confident in his scheme and his ability to cook something up in the running game that he thinks he can put anybody in there and they're going to be a 1,200 yard back. They're going to be that he could duplicate the Terrell Davis and Orlandis Gary's and Mike Anderson's that his father did. He did the same thing. Alfred Morris that year, that rookie season we were talking about with RG3, I picked him up in fantasy and it was like the best pick ever. Like I think he had like 1,100 yards, or he had a lot his rookie season with Washington. So I really believe that Mostert will start, and if he stays healthy, it's going to be his job. He's going to keep moving forward with it. I don't know. I can't trust it because it could be Jeff Wilson Jr. It could be Hasty. It could be any number of people that can get yards with the way that guy can scheme and run the football. So.
I was just wondering because I think I saw Mostert going like a 7th round yesterday, and I was like, "Whoo!" I was like, last year people were all really high on him, but like again, it is something that we could look at later on. But fantasy football season is right now. How many leagues are you in, Tony?
I don't know. I think I'm up to like 7 or 8 now. Way more than I signed up for mentally. And wife, please, if you won't listen to this, but I there's no way I can tell her that I'm in that many. She'll be pissed.
Well, I think your wife is probably like everybody else's wife right now. Like, I hate football season. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
She does dislike football season. So I want to give a quick shout out to Going the Distance Sports. You can see them here. They drafted in the 5th position. Yesterday, we had our draft fantasy podcasters league. They put it together, having some fun, a little bit of trash talk. I'm running the Warzone team. I'm here in the 7th spot. I'm just was looking for Mostert because I feel like he went a little bit later, as you were just talking about that, in this draft. But Yeah, I'm so excited for fantasy season. And as I was drafting yesterday, it was in here. Like by the time I got back to my second pick, it had been 13 running backs were gone. Like, and at this point, I was like, am I taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who might be in a timeshare with Darrell Williams or something, or J.K. Dobbins, who I'm not sure what's going to happen there, Miles Sanders. David Montgomery was the only one I even considered in the middle of the second round to get another running back. By the time that the third pick came around, David Montgomery had some real consideration, and maybe I'll regret not taking him. I took his teammate Allen Robinson in the fourth round. I got greedy, thinking that either Jacobs, Gaskin, Mike Davis, or Kareem Hunt would fall to me. That they didn't in the fifth round, so I ended up taking another 1,000-yard rusher in Lamar Jackson at quarterback. Like I said, really big on Javonte Williams. I think he could be the rookie of the year. Deebo Samuel. I think that healthy Deebo Samuel could be a monster. He could be a handful in this league. And as my fourth wide receiver, it's great. I've already put out videos on how I feel about A.J. Dillon. And I think A.J. Dillon could get a lot of touchdowns and rush for many yards, even as the backup to Aaron Jones. Kenyon Drake, I think there's PPR value there. For him, it's a full point PPR. Jamal Williams, my hot take was that he outscores DeAndre Swift. Rager, got my handcuff and Booker for Saquon Barkley, who I loved. And everybody knows this. I'm going to be streaming the Panthers defense in 8 out of 8 leagues this year. It will be in week 1. I will be streaming the Panthers D 8 out of 8 leagues. So please do not let me down on that front. Great draft, great group of drafters, folks in there. Have some fun, talking mess. We'll do updates. I'll get in and out of there. But this is what I wanted to say. Like, we talk about RB heavy. But if you play in a full point PPR, like, I think that there is a lot to be said for why not get your advantage at tight end or wide receiver or running back or whatever if all of the running backs are there. I just couldn't force any of those running backs onto my team just to have a running back. And I feel like every week I'm going to have edge at wide receiver with DK, Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp, and Deebo Samuel in there. So I like this team. We'll see if this strategy works with sort of like one monster back and then a bunch of who knows how they're going to work out players. But what do you think of the team, Joe? Be honest.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Nailed it.
That's what I try to hit it. Came up too late, but I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at your team, and I'm off. I like, Tony. I'm not gonna hate on you too much because it is tough. Fantasy football is tough. Okay, Barkley falling to you right there. Great pick. It's a great pick. I think that's a great pick. If you can get Barkley late in the first round, I like it. Turn around, you took DK Metcalf. Awesome. Love that too. Then we start getting into where I'm like, okay, we're gonna worry about it. But you took Allen Robinson. Okay, I'm good with it. But I mean, Cooper Kupp. Like you said, I can't like go off on you too much. Because, like you said, Cooper Kupp's going to get you the receptions on a PPR. He's going to get you the yards, and he's going to get you a touchdown. And if you're not happy with the running back right there, then it's not. But in my mind, I'm still old school for some reason, fantasy football, where I'm like, I need a running back. And I know you took
Javonte.
I know you took him. So you made me happy there. And I know how high you are on A.J. Dillon. And I want to buy into the A.J. Dillon, and I haven't been able to buy into the hype. But I mean, the team's not bad. You and I disagree, and if you guys haven't watched it yet, Mike has a tape on it on Lamar Jackson. You and I disagree on where Lamar Jackson will be at the end of this year. You believe that he could probably possibly be MVP caliber.
MVP. Yep.
And I think Lamar Jackson will be out of the top 10 caliber, like possibly making Baltimore think about not actually extending him after this year. That's how bad I think he was. I think he's been digressing. You think he's been progressing. but it is different. So me and you differ on Lamar Jackson at that point, but getting him too also helps your running game. So it helps with Barkley and Javonte Williams. So I mean, I'm not going to kill your team. It's a good team, Tony.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. It means a lot. It's going to change so much. I've already dropped my kicker and picked up Ramondre Stevens in the league too. So now here's the other thing that's really difficult about this league is that they kept it as a 5 bench spot, but we have to play 10 starters. And there's like 3 weeks where I have like 3 buys.
See, I like that though. Fun. That is if you were making a fantasy league, this is something that you need to do. Get rid of all those damn bench spots. I've been in fantasy leagues where they give you like 7, 8 bench spots. No, make your league harder. And like I'm in my personal league too. We have 9 starters. We have 4 bench spots. Because when you hit that waiver wire, we want you to be able to use that waiver wire. If you've gone to the waiver wire and there's nobody there, it sucks, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't, and I hate those people that hoard quarterbacks or tight ends or whatever. No, and when your bye week comes, guess what? You're gonna make some tough decisions. You're gonna be like, oh, damn, I shouldn't have drafted a whole team with bye weeks. And we've seen it in my personal league where the guy comes up and he has 8 out of his 9 starters on a bye week and he only has 4 spots on the bench. Well, you're making some tough calls or you're losing this game. Pick which one you're doing.
It's going to be interesting.
It's fun to do it.
So you're saying we might need to take away one. We haven't fully released everything on the Warzone League yet, but we might need to take away a spot. It sounds like for you, like you might want one less bench spot on there, even though this league is gonna be total chaos. Total chaos.
Okay.
This league.
It's fantasy football talk, right? So yeah. I do a lot more I like to have fun, and I like to have fun with my personal league and in any league. So I play defenses a lot different too than most leagues. And you know, it's funny. I just brought up to because we don't draft until the last weekend, so we're not going to draft until the last weekend of the football season. And I brought up to him, I go, hey, do you guys want to change the rules of the tight ends? There's a lot of new leagues out there, a lot of in the fantasy community, because you and I see a lot of fantasy football posts, a lot of fantasy football community. I said the newest thing going around this year, one is the stuff that you've been involved in, which is that what's that draft? How do you call it? The
flex one?
Where they do it like every day. They give you the long draft.
Slow draft. Yeah.
So the slow drafts have been big this year, and then another thing that have been is becoming bigger is 7 points per yard for tight ends. Normally it's 1 point for every 10 yard for receivers, but now they're doing it 1 point for every 7 yards for tight ends. So I brought that up to my league. You think it was the end of the world. What are you doing? You're bringing all these dumb rules into our league. And I'm like, hey, it is what it is.
No, I have the same problem in a league that I run with 11 and a half white guys. Is a league with we're all like in our 40s. If not, we're all really close. And getting any sort of change into that league, I was like, hey, can we add tight end? Because we've been playing with 8-man rosters for like almost 2 decades in this league. And I was like, can we just add a tight end or a second flex or something? And I just didn't even ask. I just put it on there. This is just you guys. I am now a dictatorship. You will be drafting. There will be tight ends added to the roster this year. Like it has to be forced upon them because they just don't want any change. I changed to fractional kicker scoring. And on Monday night, the guy is like, I wasted a draft pick on Harrison Butker because whatever. And I was like, bro, it's like the first weekend of the season, and my phone is getting blown up with madness. Yeah, anybody out there who is the commissioner of your league, I go with you. It's
what I like in my league, they won't read the rules, right? And I just started doing the same thing you did. You know what? I'm not going to ask you. This is what I'm going to do. Read the rules, and they won't read the rules. So I'll get hit up like week 10 because something will happen, and they'll be like, that's a dumb rule. Why do we have that? Why do we have that scoring in our league? That's so dumb. And I'm like, well, it's been like that all year. You just didn't notice until it hit you week 10. But like I was telling you, Tony, defense, I do defense a lot different than most leagues. Where, okay, when you play defense right now, Tony, and you're in fantasy football, most fantasy football leagues and most fantasy football players can tell me this. When you play defense, your defense doesn't really matter. In most average, standard defensive scoring leagues. You play the number one defense, and they can get you, and they have one hell of a game. They probably get you 10 to 15 points, right? That's the most that they ever get you. They could go off, and that's the most that they probably ever get you. Then you play a crappy defense, and you could play like I'll just throw my Raiders out there. So say you're playing Tampa Bay's defense one week, or you're playing the Raiders defense. Well, the Raider defense had a shitty game, and they got you 1 point, or they still got you 1 point, and the only difference between them and the number one defense was 9 points or 10 points maybe. Yeah. And you're like, what the hell? So in my league, I was like, I make defenses matter. If you're dumb enough to play a bad team, you're dumb enough to play to stream the Raiders defense or the Dallas Cowboy defense last year, you should get punished for that, right? Yes. That's my opinion. If you're good enough to get a great defense, you should do it. So, Tony, I don't know if I've ever told you this.
Let's do it. I want to hear it.
But points allowed in my league. In my league, your defense starts at 20 points. They can go up and they can go down. And they can actually, at the end of the day, your defense could cost you negative 30 points in my league. Goodness. Negative 30 points. If your defense goes out and gives up 550 yards and they get blown out, and they give up 35 points or more, you will go back negative 35 or 30 points in my league.
Oh, that is brutal. Yes. I would probably, that would force me to pick the Ravens, Rams, Colts, like whoever, the Browns. Like I would pick a defense really high if that was the case, because I'm kind of the mindset I don't even want defense. Like I don't even want to draft or have it. But if I do have to have it, I just stream it. But that would be a terrible strategy, because I've hit on some negative streams for sure over the years. I feel like I'm more successful than not. Otherwise I would have switched up the strategy, but I definitely miss, doing the defensive stream strategy. I also love to pick up kickers on Monday night.
But why do you stream? Why did you stream defenses? Because they don't matter, right? At the end of the day, you can get the same amount of, like I was saying. So this makes me, in my league, I make it where you want to hold on to those defenses. It's going to be hard for you to stream defenses in my league.
Well, mostly I tend to outscore most defenses. Like by the end of the year, if you add up the total points, I tend to do better than the people that keep a defense for the whole year, because I'm picking up the best, like, the team that's at home, that's playing, a good situation. But I'm real active.
You stream kickers too?
I stream kickers because I'm one of those people I have to have somebody playing on Monday night. So if there's an open kicker for Monday Night Football, I'll grab him.
He's going on your team.
Unless it's a team with a terrible offense. In leagues where it's more competitive, where I have money, or like I'm playing a lot of people this year who take fantasy more seriously than anybody I've ever met in my life, and I want to destroy all of them because it's funnier that way. But I probably won't do that in those leagues. But yeah, if we're having fun in the Warzone League, you will be like, oh, there goes Tony to the waiver wire to pick up Carlson on Monday night against the Ravens, because I like to have the kicker on Monday. It gives me something to root for. I'm sitting there, I'm having my scotch, I'm yelling at the TV for this guy to make a field goal. It adds fun for me.
Well, you're going to find out this year, Tony, because especially for everybody who's listening right now and don't know much about the Warzone Sports Network, we do have a fantasy show called the Fantasy Football Speakeasy, and we will probably be talking a lot about our fantasy teams on there as well with you guys. So make sure you guys find that show, subscribe to it, all the good stuff. But you're going to find out this, Tony, that I make so many trades, and by the end of I love trading and I love picking up players. So by the end of the week, you'll look at my team that I draft, and then you'll look at the week 17 or the championship team or whatever it is, and you'll be like, how many players did you actually have from your draft? And it'll be like, one, maybe two. That's how much I like. But fantasy football is for fun. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to have fun, and if you ain't trading, you ain't trying, and you ain't having fun.
Agreed. Okay. that's going to wrap up the show. Thank you for joining the audio podcast going out there. If you are listening to this on the audio podcast, go over to the Warzone Sports Network on YouTube, subscribe. Tons of great shows. Again, Raiders, all sports fans, wherever you're coming from watching this show, join us. Reach out if you're interested in collaborations. We got new shows airing all the time.
No. All fans are invited to the Warzone except for Cowboy fans.
He's been trolling Cowboy fans on our shorts on YouTube. So if you hate the Cowboys too, just scroll through. You will see Joe trolling them nonstop. This has been a great debut of Why Not WSN here. Joe, thank you for joining me. Until the next time that I have a free hour in my life to jump on and do a podcast. Everybody, take care. Peace.